It should be starting momentarily. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Erica. Erica, many of you know, probably most of you, if not all of you. She is our 3 in the program, water well program, and she has done a lot of work to get our water program ready for our new data management program called Amanda 7. Along with that is a new portal, and we're going to be talking to you today and showing you around that portal how to get it set up, how to enter a well permit. We're going to be answering as many questions as we can as we go through it, but certainly if you have questions, feel free to ask them like I already had said. So Erica, if you're with us, go ahead and take it from here. Yeah, you're not muted, or you're muted.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm Erica, and I'm going to go ahead and walk through the portal with you. So I'm going to be sharing my screen and actually be entering a permit as you guys would. So like Rick said, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, and we'll try to answer them as best we can. Can everybody see my screen?
We already have a question.
Okay.
The question is, what about the applications that are already submitted? Do we need to resubmit? The answer there is no.
Yeah.
You know, if you've submitted them all the way up until on the 7th is the last day to submit the applications as they currently are. But then beginning on the 8th, we're going to be switching over to this exclusively.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and walk through the process. So the first part is that you guys actually will register for portal access. And so that actually was a separate instruction.
Just dialed it. That number.
If you're already registered with Public Works for entering any building permits or electrical permits, it is the same portal, so you do not need to do a new portal for us. There's 2 sections where it'll say Public Works permits or environmental health. You'll just choose the environmental health. Also, when you are signing up the first time and registering, which would be where this create account is, if you are currently receiving the permits to a certain email and that's working for you, please use that same email. So that way your old permits will show up and your new ones will all show up to that same registration. And also making sure when you register that you're registering as your business, so it would be your organization. So even if you have one person who enters all your permits, they're not going to put their name, they're going to put your business name and just whatever email you guys choose to receive all your permits to. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and walk through the permit. This would be after you get your registration. Your username is going to be the email you use to register with. Okay, so as I mentioned before, you're going to see there's 2 sections. There's My Public Works Permits and My Environmental Health Permits. Everything is going to be under My Environmental Health Permits. Also in the top here, this is the home. This is the home screen. You can go back here. My bills, if there's anything that's owed, either, again, Public Works has their own site, but Environmental Health, it'll be here. And then this is your profile. So this is everything about you as the drilling company. If at any time you want to change your email, then you can do it here. If you guys have a change in phone number, you can make all these changes yourself and then save them. And it'll automatically update our system. So we're going to go ahead and apply for a new environmental health permit. So this would be the first place you go. And the first step, there are 6 steps to this. So the first is just asking what type of application type. For environmental health, there are 3 types, but the only one that concerns you is the water well permitting program. So with this will always be what you choose. There is then going to be the subtype. So either you're doing a new well or well destruction. Even if you are reconditioning or deepening a well, you are going to place it under new well, and we'll specify that deepening or reconstruction later in the process.
Hey,
So,
Erica,
yes.
if you're clicking on subtype, there's a pop-up that lists all the different types. We're not seeing that. I think you might have shared just your window and not your screen.
Okay. Let me.
Might want to reshare. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Are you seeing the portal now?
We can see the portal.
Okay. So now
There
do
we
you see
go.
2? Okay. Sorry
Now we
about
can
that.
see.
So there's 2 subtypes, new well and well destruction. So for this one, we're going to do a new well. And then you're going to choose your work type. So this is going to be just how you do it now. Domestic private, monitoring, Tesla, solar blowing, all of that. So for this one, we're going to do a domestic private. And all of these questions that we're asking you are going to be the same questions that you currently answer in the paper permit. So the next part is application details. So this is a required field. And like I do mention in the instruction, anything that has this asterisk and is in red is going to be required. So this is where you would put if it's a reconstruction or deepening, if this is an emergency well, if there's something weird about this one that we need to know, or if there isn't anything, you're just going to put new well. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and put emergency. And just like we currently have as a policy now, if this is an emergency well, you do need to accompany that with a letter or an email to us stating why this is an emergency. And then there will be a section as we go on where you can submit that letter. So once you get here, we're going to go ahead and go continue. If you start this process and you realize, nope, I don't want to do any of this, you can just go ahead and cancel it. It will cancel this process. Otherwise, you'll just go ahead and continue. And it takes you to step 2. So this is where you actually put in what property you're hoping to do the well on. It's easiest for wells just to put in the APN. Especially because we know a lot of the places that we drill does not have an address. So this will find something. This particular one does have the APN, so you just want to make sure it matches, and this address that comes up. There is a location, an info field later in the process where you will put the actual, if it's just cross streets, or maybe this address isn't exactly correct. We know sometimes we go on properties and this is the actual address, but they happen to have a mobile home on there. And so we always are putting 4624. Whatever that is, you're going to make a note of that in the site location, because we know this might not always match. But if the APN is correct and your coordinates are correct, we'll figure that out later, just like we do now when we review the process. So once you're here, even though this comes up, you still have to push select. And then it comes up here as selected addresses. It even provides on the map where this location is. So you just want to make sure, yep, this is right. I'm good here. And you continue. If for some reason you put this in and you realize this isn't right, I'm not sure what happened, you can go ahead and remove it and start again. But since this is the address I'm looking for, I'm going to push select again and then continue. So this takes us to step 3. So on this step is where you're going to put all the information on the permit that you do now. This has all the setback information, well construction, everything. So well, normally where you would sign, the driller would sign about the statement about that you're certifying everything is correct, that you have all the correct licenses. This is now at the first part of the application instead of the end. So this is a required field. There is no option to say no. This is a yes. So you're acknowledging everything that you're putting in this application is true.
Hey,
So
Erica,
yes.
there's a question. If
Okay.
it's an address that doesn't come up, will it keep us from moving on in the application?
It will, but if the APN that's why we'd say do the APN instead of the actual address, because there are sometimes the address has to be very specific. If there is no addresses, it might be track whatever. That's why sometimes you're getting permits now that just say California, because there is no actual address assigned to the APN, but the APN is in our system. If you're having issues with an address, you can call the water specialist, as you guys do now sometimes, and check to see what's going on with the APN. Maybe it's an old APN you have, maybe it's a different address. We can help you with that. So that won't be an issue. We can help you figure out what is the right property to put in there. Is there any other questions?
No.
Okay, all right, thank you, Monique. So the next part, which is different from what you have had previously, is that we are asking for the owner's email. The reason we are asking for this is because now we'll be able to send them their water sampling letters directly. We'll be able to send them the flood zone letters. So all the things that we get to you and we have to mail out separately will now be emailed to them. So I know many of you already get this information because you send them a copy of their permit or an estimate of what the drilling is going to cost. So we know a lot of you guys have this, but this is something new that is different from what you currently do. So we'll just put this one. Yes.
What if the property owner doesn't have an email address? Does that stop us from moving forward?
It doesn't stop you from moving forward. You have to put something in this field. So you can put does not have one, something of that sort, but we're really hoping that we can get as many as we can because we do want to be able to offer them the services that we have for the free water sampling. And if something is in a flood zone, then we can get that out to them. We will still mail it to them if we cannot get this email.
What can we put a mailing address there if they don't have any? I've got 2 customers that have no email.
There's a different section on here like you guys already do where it says owner name and owner address on the permits. There is a section for that later as we go down where you'll put that information.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So this is a new question as well, but many of you have already been putting them on, as about if the well is replacing an existing well. So you're going to put yes or no here. If it is, we're going to say this is yes. And then it wants to know if why it's being replaced. If the well is dry, well production dropping, water quality issues, other, or not applicable. So for this one, we're going to say the well is dry, and other, you can either put dry again or not applicable. So there's going to be a lot of instances in these fields that are not going to apply to your well. So the best thing to do, because there is a lot of fields, is to just put NA, copy it, and keep pasting it down where it doesn't apply to you, because all of these things are required. Just make sure that you're being careful while you're doing that, because just like the paper permits that we get, if something is inaccurate or missing, we're going to have to contact you, the driller, to make sure what the correct answer is, and that's only going to hold up what we can process. So just like our paper permits, we can only do as well as it's turned in. So again, you're going to put your contractor license number like you do already, phone number for you guys, and your guys' email. This is the property owner information. You would put their phone number, their address, their city, their zip code, just like you do now. Then you're going to put your estimated start date. So there's a little calendar, so you can just click on it and choose the date. It's asking you again your intended use for this well, the coordinates, we still want at least 6 digits past the decimal, like we asked on the paper. So as you can see, some of this information is not required. So you see here, a parcel size is required, but the census tract isn't. If you do not know this information, we will figure it out on our end. That's why some of this stuff is for us to review and some of it is for you to provide. asking the GSA name. If it's in a groundwater sustainability agency, again, this is not a required field. If it's not completed by you, we will complete it. But if you know that it is one, then please mark yes. And then it's asking if this permit is for well construction. It's asking yes or no. So we're saying yes, it is. Again, the type of well. So your normal information that you would put in. So I'm going just really fast filling those info fields, but this is how the same information you would put on the paper, you're just putting here. So there's nothing different on this section. On here, if it is a deepening or reconstruction, you can see for the seal type, it's an airtight seal, and that is fine. So if you were to do a reconstruction or deepening, you would put airtight seal, and seal placement would be not applicable. Otherwise, you would choose what you normally choose. On the perforation depths, we know there's going to be instances where you don't know what that is going to be. Then you can just put something in here, unknown, to be determined, things of that nature, but this is a required field. So the next section, is this a permit for well destruction? This isn't, but unfortunately how this is set up, it still requires you to put something in these fields. So again, the best thing to do is just put not applicable if it's not, and just paste them all the way through. The drop downs will all have a not applicable option. Please notice here that if the reason for destruction is here, if you do destroy it, so we are going to want to know why it's being destroyed. The next section is your setbacks. So if they exceed 300 feet or not. So even if it does, we do want to make sure that you guys are meeting the property lines. So making sure that you're at least 15 feet from that property line. And then doing anything that applies. Again, all of these fields are required. So if they don't apply, go ahead and choose your not applicable. Okay, so that is all that. This is a new question on the bottom. It's talking about water system, if it's a part of a CalCode water system. You can either put yes or no. If you don't know, then you can go ahead and mark no. And on the water system reference for unknown, we will go ahead and verify this information. A CalCode water system is typically a system that surfaces a restaurant or a market or some other type of public water system that's a little bit smaller, but for food service. So again, if you don't know, just please put unknown, and we will follow up with that and make that change. So once you're here, you have two options after you finish this page, either save for later or continue. Maybe you started the process and you have to go to something else and you can't finish, you can do save for later. Or if you need some more information and weren't able to finish, save for later. Otherwise, if you finish all of it, you can go ahead and hit continue. So it brings us to this page, the supporting documents. This is where you're going to enter and submit any supporting documents. So as you can see, there isn't a plot plan for you to fill out, but you would actually scan or upload a plot plan for us. So it would be your plot plan. If you have a deed because there's a new owner, you would do it here. If you have that emergency letter you want to provide for us, anything about this well that you would normally send in with your permit, this is where you would put it. So for the document type, there is only one type, which is construction plan. That's fine. Choose that construction plan. And in your description, you can put whatever it is. So if it's my plot plan, I'm going to just put plot plan. And you can either drag a file here that you have on your computer, or you can browse your computer for that file. So either way will work. So I'm just going to browse, and I'm going to look for one of my documents. So I'm just going to say this was my plot plan, but it's uploading. So you have to actually, once it's there, you'll see that the file is there, and then you hit upload. So if you put it there and you don't put upload, it will not actually go onto your record. So now that I'm going to upload. It's there. On the top, you can see everything that you submitted. So it'll say the type, and you can actually preview it. So if I preview, this is a flood zone letter, but this is what I'm going to be submitting. So you can see what it is. And you can just repeat this process for as many documents as you need to upload. So it would be the same thing. I can upload another one, document type. Again, you have to push upload. You see now I have 2 documents. And
There's
so
a
when I
Sorry,
Go
Erica,
ahead.
there's a question in the chat.
Yes.
What if we accidentally upload the wrong document?
So if you upload the wrong document, it will be there, but you can either email us or just let us know. Just upload the correct one, and you can put corrected in the description, corrected plot plan, or whatever it is. Because there are times now that we know we ask for an updated permit because things were not correct on here, or we need you to update the plot plan to show all the setbacks. Then you can go back into the portal and submit that to us and just put updated plot plan. So we will look at that. On our end, we can delete it. Unfortunately, it does not give you guys access to delete anything you submitted. So again, it always gives you the option to save for later. If you need to go back once you've started this and you realize you need something else, you can always save. But if you're done, you've got everything going, you would hit continue. As you can see, there's a back button. Maybe you forgot something or needed to correct something on that last page. You can go back as well. So let's go ahead and hit continue. And now we're on step 5. So this is where it shows you the fees. So depending on the type of fee or type of well that you chose, it will determine the type of fee. So here you can see it's a new well, it's $710, just like we did. Always, if you did a soil boring, it's not going to show a fee is due. Well destruction, it's going to be that $478. So this should always match our normal fees. So when you're ready to pay, you would actually check what you want to pay. And it'll say, here's the fee selected, the invoice number, and the total amount. And you're going to say pay selected fee. There is a pay later button, but just realize if you do choose pay later, we're not going to be able to process it until the fee is paid. So even though we do have credit card records on file, this gives you the option to make that payment already for yourselves. So we won't be doing those payments for you. So you're going to go ahead and go. Is there a question? Sorry.
I've got a question. Yeah, on the invoice number, is there any way to include the APN number? Because when you get the receipt, you've got an invoice number, but now you have another number to go and track, and this is the only indication of that number on this particular screen. It'd be really helpful if the APN was included. On the correspondence.
So
Or
on this
on the
screen, On this screen, this will show that, but actually when you come back and look at your applications, it will show which invoice is to the application.
Okay, well, the reason I'm asking is by the time I get it back, I'm then trying to file an awful lot of individual PDFs and things like that.
Mhm.
And when I use this morning, I just got the invoice number back. I go, well, I only did one well, but if I had done multiple wells, I would have had to keep track of the invoice number. Once again, the APN would really make a big difference, at least for me personally.
So when you did the well today, did you notice when you went to the application on the main page, did you see you could see that it was associated with that well?
Well, yes, but again, after I closed out a couple hours later, when I started doing my filing and I went to my email, I got an email invoice, paid invoice, but it just has an invoice number. If I would have done 5 or 6 of these this morning, I would have then had to figure out which invoice number goes with which one. And that's why, again, I keep on going back. One thing that's common throughout the whole theme of all this is the APN number.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, we can.
At least for me personally, I think it'd be really beneficial and less chance for, if I give somebody else the responsibility to go and do the filing, then they're gonna have to go back and forth and things like that.
Okay, well, we can bring that up to see if there's any way to have that on the receipt. I'm not sure if that's possible, but I just know that when you go to the screen and you actually see the application, you'll be able to correlate those two. It may not be on the receipt you received emailed, but it will be in your home page of where all your permits are.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Is there any other questions? Okay.
I agree that
go
the
ahead.
invoice number, I agree with Kings River that the invoice number being there on the receipt is very important.
Well, the invoice number should be on the receipt. I think what he is saying is that the APN is not on the receipt.
Excuse me, I got confused. The APN number is what is very important to have on the receipt that we get instead of an invoice number.
We could definitely look at that. I'm not sure what we're able to make, what kind of changes we're able to make at this point with this program, but certainly we can make that request for future iterations. I can see that being definitely a worthwhile addition.
Thank you.
Okay, so then you would choose pay selected fees, and it's going to redirect you to Heartland, which is what many of you guys are already using to make that payment and provide us the receipt. So with this, what it will do will automatically send you that page and send us that you've made the payment. So you won't have to provide that receipt to us any longer. So you would pay by credit like you guys normally do. You're going to enter all your information and go ahead and submit the payment. So I can't actually go through this process because there is nothing to charge, and what it will do is actually send me to nothing because I'm not entering an actual well permit that we'll be working on. But then what happens is once you've submitted your permit, go back. Is you can see that there are permits that have been sent in. So there's a couple of different permits here, and kind of what was sent in that handout is there are different types of statuses here. So this is an issued status. What this program also allows you to do is track where we are in the process. So this is a well that I had done previously, and if I went to this, it could show the detail of what happened. This is the day of the application. It tells you when it's going to expire. this is actually not accurate because as we know, our permits are 180 days. That's always what it's been, and that will continue to be what our expiration date is. Just like we've done in the past, if you will need a permit to be extended, then you would contact us and then let us know when you're proposing the well to be drilled. And if it's in a time frame that we can work with, then we will allow that exemption and go ahead and approve that. But you do have to let us know before that 180 days has gone past. So that process has not changed for here. It gives you the application number, the APN, the address, and the date it was issued. It tells you the address, and again, a little part on the map. This is all the application details, so you can review everything that you submitted. If you submit it and realize you did something wrong and it's still in new status or submitted status, you can go ahead and change it. You cannot change anything after it's been issued. So see, it gives you this option to update. So if there's something that you know needs to be corrected, you can do that and update it. So this is where you would make those changes if, let's say, you forgot to put your seal placement or what you were going to seal with, or forgot a setback information. You would make that change and update. If you need to add an additional document, you could go here to add. This again just shows you the payment. So this is what I was talking about earlier. If you go to the actual permit, you can see the invoice number and that it was paid. And then it lets you go through each process. So it says there were 4 processes. So there's a water per well permit application, and that's you guys. It says it's closed. I did it. Whoever our office assistants will, this could be their name. It's whoever actually went through and just made sure you turned in everything. So this is the initial thing. You're going to see what date we did it. If there were any comments, there was an inspection. It'll say who did it and when it was done. The well permit review, if your status says review, that means we're actively looking at it and reviewing it. It again say who was working on it and when they did it. There may be several attempts here. There may be one person's looking at it and we're waiting for clarification. So the next day, somebody may else be finishing this permit, but you will be able to see where you're at in the process. And then a well site inspection. If you have something scheduled, it's going to say it on here as well. So if you go back to home, you'll see every permit that you've done. This was issued because I did this, went through the whole process and actually issued the permit. The reason this just says internet incomplete here is because I never submitted this application because I did not make the payment. So if your status says internet incomplete, means you did not submit the application. So there was something there that you might have went through the process, but you never hit submit, or a payment didn't go through, or something of that nature. It'll say internet incomplete. So if it says this, we're not going to process your permit. So even if you worked on it on the 1st and then realized it on the 5th, you never submitted it, we are not going to begin to work on it until it says it was actually submitted.
I got a question, Erica. So
Yeah.
does that mean if we've submitted, we thought we were okay, our only option is to go back into the portal to see if it's been processed? Or do you notify us, or is there some other type of trigger, or do I have to go into the portal each day to go and see my 15 different water wells?
Well, I would say the best practice would be as soon as you're done doing, go to your home screen and just check the status. And if the status is submitted, you're good. If you've done it and it says internet incomplete, that means it did not go through. And the reason that we're not typically not going to contact you is because you may still be working on this permit. It also does this when you saved it for later or you went back. So we're going to take it as you're still working on this permit. That's why it's not been submitted.
Got it. Well, I guess my question is, if I thought I'm complete, I really won't know until I go into the portal to see if you've completed on your side. Then is that correct?
If it's completed on our end, it will say issued.
And it will email them, right? A
It
copy
will
of the
email you permit. There is nothing that's changed in that process. We are currently using our new program, Amanda. We just have not been having you submit it. We are doing the same process on our end. We're taking your paper permit and putting this all in our program now. So that's why you guys
Okay.
are receiving your permits via email. It is going to be the same process.
Okay, so sounds good. So then the trigger then, at least at my end, is that I get the permit via email. I don't have to go to the website to go and pull the permit then.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So maybe if though you're worried about, hey, I haven't received this permit, and you see, and you come back here and says internet incomplete, that means it did not get submitted. If it says it's in review status, that means somebody is looking at it. So you can know where we're in the process. If it says issued and you did not receive it, then you can give us a call and say, I'm not sure what happened. It says it's issued. I never received an email. So that way we make sure that we have all your correct information on our end.
You can also check your profile to verify that we have your correct email if you haven't received anything from us and it says issued.
Is there any backup? If for some reason I don't think I got it via mail, is there a way to go to the site and download the permit from here, or is it just strictly through the email process?
It's strictly through the email, but we can always provide you another copy if for some reason you can't find it. It's similar to what we do now.
Good.
You know, we have instances where someone can't find the permit, we will provide it. So nothing like that has changed.
Okay, and I've got one last question. I'm a little reluctant to file new permits because I'm not sure how far into the future I'm going to go. Let's say we approach that 180 days. If we go past that point, do we lose the fees, or can the fees be reincorporated into a new submittal?
So like I explained before, if you need an extension, then you would need to contact us. So that again has not changed even with our paper permits, that we know that they always go to 180 days. And if we allow the extension, like, because you're going to do it the following month, the next 2 months, then we don't charge you another fee. If it's a year later, then unfortunately that permit will have already been voided and a new permit and fee will have to be submitted.
Okay, thank you again.
Are there any other questions?
Could I ask one more? I do know that we have our permits also sent to the North Kings River GSA. Are there permits being sent to the other GSAs also, or
All
is
the
the North
permits
Kings the only one with the five-day wait period?
No, all the permits are sent to all the GSAs. That's our requirement. So every permit we get, if it's in a GSA, it's sent to them for notification.
I'll just make one last comment. I did use your system this morning for the first time, and I found it extremely easy to navigate, and everything seemed to go real smooth. So it looks like it's a big improvement, at least from my side, and I definitely want to tell everybody thank you.
Well, thank you. And that was the point of this system, is we want to make it as easy for you guys to submit, and that way you guys can track. And this will also help us to hopefully get this done a little bit faster for you guys as well. We're working very hard to get your permits done, to get out there and do the seals and just keep moving.
Absolutely. And this is also like we've been sharing with you an attempt to give you more control, maybe not control the process, but give you a lot more information that you could just simply go here and have at your fingertips. And see where everything is and the status of different things. You can update, you can do all kinds of things on here that you weren't previously able to do.
Looks like someone else has their hand raised.
And there's a few more questions in the chat that I'll read after the person who had their hand raised asked their question.
I answered them, Rick.
Thank you.
Erica,
Yes.
are we supposed to use the same pot plan map? Do we still use that same one that we originally used?
Yes.
Layout? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
I have a question. So the emails that go out with the approved permit, it doesn't store the approved permit on this portal.
No, it
No, it doesn't. It saves it in our back office, so we do always have a copy.
Okay,
And we can always send it out again if someone needs them.
perfect.
One of the helpful tips that I really thought was useful as we were going through entering permits in our test site, portal site, was there's a lot of NAs that need to be entered. So I would just copy, Control C, highlight NA, Control C copy, and then I would just paste it into all the other areas. And that seemed to work go a lot faster. I think the overall process is, as Tom was saying, is a pretty simple process. And it's important to note too that when you submit this into our system, it goes directly into our system. So there's no chance that it might get overlooked in an email. We try very hard to be good about that and to check our emails, but every once in a while something can happen. This goes directly into our system, so that should be a more straightforward way of doing this. It helps speed us up a little bit. Any other questions? So we got just a clarification. Does an approved permit get emailed to the owner just like we get our approved permits back? And the answer is yes. You will get the permit in the email that you provided, and it will, if it has a Corkwood clay letter, if it has a flood letter, that will also be attached. Same as you're getting them now. It'll be from a more of an automated type of a thing. So your email may put it in another, like in Outlook. I don't know how many of you are on Outlook. We have a focused inbox and an other inbox. And in the other inbox, that's normally where a lot of advertisements go. That's where a lot of junk mail, junk email kind of things. That's where that goes. Well, that's where these tend to end up. So, or it might end up in your spam or in a junk folder or something like that. It's because it's coming from an automated system, and the emails tend to search those out and automatically file those for you. So if you don't see a permit in your email, and you already have got it emailed to you, it might be sitting in a junk folder or a spam folder, an other inbox or something along those lines. So make sure you check those. And I think if you find that it's going there, you can probably right click on it and say, this isn't junk, this needs to be going to my main email. You probably need to do that once or twice, hopefully just once, and have that fixed.
Does it also email the permit to the homeowner? That's what I think the question is.
Oh, no, it just goes to the driller. I don't think we're currently sending these permits to the homeowner.
No, it's usually just the driller.
Yeah. Any other questions? Well, if there's no other questions, this was I think this was a good meeting, and certainly as you go through this, as if you stumble upon problems, if something doesn't seem to be working, go ahead and give our Water SD a call, and they'll try to work with you to get that, help you past that. But sometimes there may be some glitches that we need to fix on our end as well. So just let us know and be patient with us as we get this new system up and running. It's been working pretty well. as we've tested it. But you know, this is, like I say, it's a new system, and our intent with this is to speed everything up and give you control of what you're doing, and give you information in real time as to what's happening with your permits. So it's not intended to put, you know, well, 6 feet between you and I and us, and you know, and we're not in by enacting this, we're not saying you can't call us anymore. For certainly, that's not the case. We definitely want to give good customer service, and we want to be able to be as professional and responsive with you folks as we've been in the past. And this hopefully is an effort to improve that even more. So certainly, if you have problems, if you have questions, feel free to give us a call. We're more than happy to talk to you. If there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and end the meeting. Anything else, Erica? Anybody from our water program?
I do just want to say that I'm sure some people have been getting some letters that are not complete, like a flood zone letter or Corcoran Clay, and that's why you've been getting separate emails from the inspector water SD, just resubmitting the permit to you with those correct letters. We are in the process of getting those corrected, and a lot of that has to do with the portal information. Once you guys have that registration, they do come out accurately. So we are working on getting those corrected, and hopefully you won't be getting 2 separate emails in the future.
All right. So we'll
Thank
go
you.
ahead and stop the recording. I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, I was just saying thank you to everyone.
Oh, yeah. I think there was one other question. Oh, she just wanted to say thank you for all being patient with all of my mistakes. All right. Hey, you know, if we're not making mistakes, that means we're not trying, right? So that's fine. Let's go ahead and use this system, and let's make mistakes, but let's learn from them and move on, kind of thing. That's what we're trying to do.
I just want to say thank you for all your guys' patience with us. You know, we've been running bare minimums as far as with staff, and we appreciate, I can speak for myself as water SD, I appreciate your patience and your tolerance.
Thank you, Monique. That is definitely echoed on my end as well, and I probably all of our staff. We do appreciate your working with us, and helping, letting, especially this, you know, we did this during a drought. We didn't intend to do this during a drought, and this is certainly not optimal, but you know, we're doing the best we can to get this thing on its feet and improve our services. So thank you very much. Enough of that. So thank you very much. Thank you for attending, and we'll go ahead and post this on our website. I'm going to stop the recording.